Good morning, Piggy.
Morning.
Oh, you sound bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Not really, but I can act like it.
I'm half asleep. So what we're going to talk about today, Piggy?
Well, we can talk about a lot of things. We on a trip, going to go back to the house. All like that, haven't done our morning thing and everything. Last video got a few good comments. Everything. So I was going to extrapolate on that a little bit. Kindness. What is it? You know, there's a song out there, part of it says, sometimes you got to be cruel to be kind. What is that? Well, you know, a dentist, he'll pull a tooth, but, you know, he'll stick a needle in your gums, deaden it if you got a good one, and everything, so that he can get that bad tooth out. Well, he's having to be a little bit cruel to be kind. What in the world is going on?
I don't know.
Well, gotta wait now anyway, so. But, you know, another way cruel to be kind. I'd growing up, learn how to ride a bicycle. I happened to be in a spot where they could start me out on a little bit of a hill behind the house. And there's the old black vent pipe going up the side of the house in the back there. That's where the bathroom was, you know. Got me going down through there. I probably wasn't going that fast. But to me, it's the first time on the bicycle. I thought I'd fly. Got wobbly and wound up hitting the side of the house right about that vent pipe. Fell, of course. Did I have somebody running up to me? Oh my goodness, you poor baby, you got hot. Let's see what we can do for the poor baby. No, I got told get my butt back up on that thing. Let's try this again.
I understand that one.
Skins and scrapes and all. So now not only was I gonna be going faster than I'm used to going, I'm gonna be doing it with the air hitting them skins and scrapes. You get used to pain real quick. Because you don't deal with that, you're gonna deal with a belt later.
Yeah.
Well, why would you get a belt later if you didn't get back up on there and try? Because you got to try again in order to learn something. Sometimes you got to get hurt, physically or emotionally, in order for you to grow. I mean, think about plants. When you're doing a plant right, you know, if you raise flowers or bushes or shrubs or anything like that, or what was that tree the Japanese call? Bonsai tree. You know, there's all sorts of clipping on that thing. Same with a grapevine. Yeah, you gotta trim them back and clip them and stuff, you know, get the dead off. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know that plants feel pain as we perceive it. Because I don't think they have nervous systems like we do. So, I mean, you know, come on. They can stand the trimming. Yeah, so you're being kind to that plant by getting the dead off of it.
Pruning the dead off.
And shaping it up so that the plant as a whole can thrive and grow. And if it's a fruit producing plant, you know, help it to produce that fruit.
Yeah.
Because you're getting the dead off so that nutrients and stuff aren't going to dead areas of the plant. It's going to areas that need it. They're still living and thriving. So they can live and thrive better.
Yep.
You know, as that pertains to life, you going through life and you working on stuff, all like that, there you have a setback. Oh man, I run into trouble. I've been set back. I've been this, I've been that. That's a good thing, folks. That gives you time to see what you did wrong, how you did it wrong, so that you can, guess what? Learn what to do right.
Well, you can learn and grow.
Yeah, if we was perfect, we wouldn't be driving around in cars and flying in planes. We'd be using the power of thought to get wherever we needed to go, wherever that might be.
Yeah.
Because if we was perfect, we'd have 100% use of our brains and everything would make sense no matter what it was. Whether it was a simple tying of your shoes or figuring out nuclear physics and M theory.
And we'd never make a mistake.
And never make a mistake.
And we'd be boring as all get out.
Bingo. That's it in a nutshell. Life is learning. You know. There's a spiritual part of that too, but you know, we're gonna keep it on the rest of it, you know. It's just the human part of it. You know, the physical flesh part of it, you know. Life is learning. You gotta learn how to handle things. You gotta learn you in a jungle. You know, this planet, if we're spiritually speaking, man, that's a big house they built up there.
Mm-hmm.
This planet, if we're spiritually speaking, for all its lush, nice green areas, this planet is actually a desert. You know, we all get sent to the desert to get tried and tested and put through stuff so that we can make that one choice. Whom shall we serve? God or Satan? Which one we gonna serve? You know, so this is a testing ground. You look at the Old Testament, you know, you see the powerful prophets of old. Not that they were powerful, God was powerful through them. Because they just knew that God was God, and they just knew that God was there, and always had been, always would be. You know, they knew. They didn't just have faith. They knew. You know, so, well, mainstream, they didn't like that. Because they wanted to be the ones in power and in control. So a lot of those prophets, they got sent to the desert to become what was known as, they were rabbis, but they were known as desert preachers. They figured if they had about the desert away from everybody, they couldn't spread the truth out there to where their power and control would get taken away, because people would realize they ain't the ones in control. God is. You know. So, the desert. Well, that's what this whole planet is. In the grand scheme of things, it's a desert. Even for all its lush greenery. It's a desert. Yeah, so we got to go through it. And we're going to go through things. You know, this is the jungle, baby. You ain't going to get out of it alive. Something's going to kill you. Whether it be your own body, or some accident, or somebody that ends your life on this planet. Well, how did you live this life while you were there? You know,
Yeah, there's a song out there by Joy and Rory.
Yeah.
I think she's singing with, I think his name's Brian Walker, I'm not sure. About, did I do all that I could do in the time that you gave me?
I remember you playing that song.
I love that song.
Yeah, and that's a very apt statement for what I'm talking about. You know, of course, that statement pretty much says it all. I'm just getting into details, and I do that a lot. I get into details. My mind will go off on a tangent, and here we go.
Oh, yeah.
And because I'll see this come into it and correlate with it, and see that come into it, correlate with it, and then here I go off on all these tangents.
Yeah, you might want to hold on to the wheel, Piggy.
But I do in the end bring it back together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so good question. Have we done all we could do in this life? You know, if you live in your life for God, your mind is centered on how do I do for God? How do I be the best? Because you ain't doing nothing for God. He uses you and goes through you to do what needs to be done, but you're just a vessel. You know. So it might be a question of, have I been all the vessel I could be for God to do His work through me? And even the prophets of old that we put on pedestals as saints didn't do all they could do to be the vessel that they could be. They had problems, troubles, and flaws, and different things about them too. I mean, yeah, the Bible is fraught with people that did what God had of them to do. I guarantee you, a lot of y'all in churches today wouldn't allow in the doors of a church because they don't fit the description of what you think they should be to be in there. Whether it was how they dressed or what was in their past. That's something about churches too. A lot of them, they more concerned with what's been in your past than why you're there. You know, a person comes in there, they're searching, they're seeking, and you concerned about whether or not they've been a crack hoe or a streetwalker out on the corner having johns, or hurt people, or, you know, whether they was what in today's society is considered the lowest of the low, and that's a certain type of predator, and everything. Guess what? Even that certain type of predator can be forgiven, because there ain't but one unforgivable sin. All other sin can be forgiven, no matter what it is.
And if God can forgive you, then everybody should be able to forgive you.
Who would I be to condemn and not forgive somebody? I don't care. Yeah, Hillary Clinton, Epstein Island, all that. They could be forgiven if they'd come to God. You know, as bad as all that mess is.
Yeah, if somebody has turned their life over to God, accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, it's not for me to judge them.
Or even if they've come in search of.
Yeah.
You know.
Trying to change their life.
Right. It is not our job. It is not our right to condemn those people. We are not to condemn nobody, regardless of what they've done. There's a lot of things out there I see people clamoring for those people's blood. No, you're a Christian. You're wrong for that. Because we are not qualified to judge and condemn that person. I don't care what they've done. I don't care if it's Genghis Khan or the dude that wrote Amazing Grace. That's what makes it worse for some of y'all. Y'all out there condemning these folks for stuff. The dude that wrote Amazing Grace was worse than all of them. He did it all. He did all the bad stuff. He did it a lot. But God got a hold of him too. So if God could forgive a man like that, and brought him where he wrote a song called Amazing Grace that we all get all teary-eyed over, and then you turn around and you judge and condemn somebody that's like him, well then guess what? You're going to hell too along with them. Because you took it upon yourself to feel like you had the authority to judge and condemn that person for what they do or have done.
What gets me is people, let's say, how much or try to show how much of a Christian they are, and yet they refuse to forgive others. When somebody even asks for forgiveness, they refuse to forgive them.
Right.
Well, what you have to take into account is if you are not willing to forgive the lowest of the low for what they've done,
right,
how can you expect God to forgive you for what you have done?
That's right.
Because you're no better than they are.
But see, you have to have forgiveness in your heart for God to give you forgiveness.
That's it. I mean, you don't have to like their actions. You don't have to like what they did. You don't have to like the person. But to be forgiven of your own sins and your own ways by God, you have to be willing to forgive others for what they have done.
That's it. Because forgiveness, as we've talked about before, is not about actually forgiving that person.
Right.
It's about God being able to forgive you because you could forgive them.
It's all about, forgiveness is about you. It is about what's in your heart, and it is taking that burden off of you.
Right.
And allowing God to give you peace. It is not about saying, I forgive this person and I accept everything they've done, I accept everything they do. No, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, because that can lead to arrogance. Well, I forgave those people because,
Yeah.
Yeah, that can lead to arrogance. And so that's why it's not about you. It's not about them. It's about God forgiving you. If you cannot forgive, how can God forgive you? Yeah, because God's the only one with the authority to do that. Now, does that mean I say that all these folks shouldn't face the music? Oh no. I was clear on that too. They should definitely face the music. Back in olden times, a lot of those things, punishment was death. Because the only way to get rid of it was to kill it off. Just like pruning that tree, that bush, that vine. Forgive them. Hopefully they'll find God and get forgiveness and go to heaven when they die. By death sentence. But that's between them and God. As long as you've done what you're supposed to do between you and God. And that's forgive them. Yeah, they should still face a severe penalty. And really the only way to get rid of it is kill it off. And that does two things. Number one, it's a huge deterrent to those who would. They're like, I get caught, they ain't gonna be no sitting for 20 years in a prison waiting on the death penalty to happen. It's gonna happen quick, and it's gonna happen soon. So, you know, a huge deterrent. Number two, you ain't got somebody wasting away in a prison for 20 years before they get their death sentence. And even then, there's going to be appeals and appeals and appeals. You know, worst thing you can do to a human being is lock them up. You know, you think that's a huge punishment? Well, yeah, it is. And then you got all sorts of taxes and stuff that come with it to pay for everything involved in keeping that person prisoner for all that time. But, you know, you're causing more and more hate. You want to do something to that person that would prevent them from doing what they did. No, it won't prevent it. In some it might, but overall it would make the problem worse, because we're dealing with the psyche, the psychology of a person, and somebody with that is abnormal psychology. You know, there's demons involved, folks, just bottom line. You know, so you just made it worse, because they still, that demon within talking to them is still going to want what it wants, and it's going to find other ways to do what it had been doing. So you just made it worse. So anyway, we're getting close. She's getting tired. I'm gonna get over here. Piggy loves you.